Hello. Um, I'm going to ask the question, would anarchy be better? And I guess my short answer is yes, which I know is a little bit drastic because we all do associate anarchy with chaos. But my longer answer is that it's going to take some time. So when you're talking about anarchy, what you're really saying is that each person can play their role in society. And so you're then saying, well, what's going on with a person? Are they able to do that? So we've actually then starting to talk about psychology, and the problem with having anarchy right now is that we're all a little bit devastated. Um, the last the last few millennia have been pretty tough on humanity. But at the same time, saying that we're all a little bit devastated, I'm also going to say that we are really at the point where we're ready to move forward. We're ready to accept responsibility for our own lives. We're ready to care about other people. Um, and so to have us living under governments trying to control us and actually doing a huge amount of damage, it's not helpful anymore. It's not healthy. So in that sense, yes, anarchy is better. So, but we have to look at what's going on with each individual because a lot of people have a lot of pain and a lot of trauma and a lack of education. So there's just a lot of things. A lot of people now are talking about healing, and so when I say that I think anarchy would be better, what I mean is, first we have to go through a period of healing, a period of dealing with all the trauma and trying to resolve some of the feelings towards violence, the feelings towards anger, all these things that can easily come up just as a result of what we've all been through. We have all been through this collectively. I know it doesn't feel like it. It feels like the ultra wealthy have really not suffered, but they probably don't have a lot of happiness in their lives. They probably have a lot of expensive yachts and expensive houses. But I doubt if they have a lot of people who care deeply about them because so much of their focus must be on making money. And in order to do that, many of them have actually sort of exploited other people's labor and exploited other people. So, really, when it comes down to it, I think that a lot of us are not happy with what we've been through. So then what we have to look at for anarchy to work, everybody has to reach some level of overcoming the trauma, some level of acceptance of themselves, acceptance of each other, and I think we're really, really close to that. I really do. So what we need is a period where most of the people who've been through the worst of everything can regularly receive counseling, can regularly be treated by psychologists if necessary, or basically really can just regularly be put in a position where they can feel loved. And that's very hard, I think, for us to imagine how that could happen, right? Because we don't really associate our this country anyway, America, with that sort of comfortable, comforting kind of life or love. America's very good at having a lot of energy and doing stuff and going out there and conquering and being successful. And that's a very wonderful thing, but that's a very masculine type of energy. Um, it's also a feminine energy, actually. There is the solar feminine as well as the lunar feminine. So it is a feminine energy. but we haven't been used to that. Most of women actually have sort of been forced by working in the society that we know, working in the capitalist society. Most of us have been forced actually to act according to a very masculine side of our nature, to develop that masculine side of our nature, the side that's looking for success, that's looking to build a career. Um, but actually, the solar feminine, the part that is actually really mostly feminine, which exists in men also, remember, is the part that is embracing, encouraging, and able to make our own decisions as to how to love and how to live. And to the extent that we've been forced to live in this society, that's really sort of been inhibited a lot. But on the other hand, many, many women are very ready to be able to love and to be able to bring these sort of solar feminine qualities into this world. So, yeah, I think we are ready to go beyond the government because I don't see how a government that controls us and that is not thinking of our benefit is going to be at all helpful for us. At this point, it's just going to put us back into another 20, 40 years of just fighting against the restrictions that we're under. We don't need that anymore. It's not going to help us as a society or as individuals. So the name of this channel is Project 2045, A Better Universe. And I would say that's about the right time scale that we can move into something beyond nations. I don't think that sovereign nations are really the way to go. I think they're fairly artificial, and we need to think of ourselves as a whole planet, one world. But I think that we will be ready to move into a very new vision of the future by that time. There's always going to be holdouts. There's always going to be people who find it very hard to, trust, to be vulnerable, to be able to deal with the trauma inside. I just read the book about the women in the Vietnam War. It's called The Women. I think it's by Kristen Hanna, maybe. People who have been through that sort of trauma in that war must be so, so devastated to the point where it's almost impossible to see how you can overcome that sort of trauma. But they can if we are all helpful, if we are all involved in trying to heal each other. Usually when books are trying to describe government, they don't really go into the nature of people. But I've noticed that when women are trying to define government or a system to live under, they tend to actually spend quite a lot of time talking about the psychology of humans. Because I think we recognize that what's going on inside a human is what allows us to have either a bad government or a good government or eventually no government. I think anarchy doesn't mean that we won't have a government that is sort of organizing things. Obviously, we need that sort of thing. But we don't need a government to tell us what to do. We need a government that can help us to defend the rights of each other, define the rights of each other, define it. Well, no, the people are going to define a constitution. But we need somebody to make sure that we sort of stick to it. But it's not going to be a government that is ruling us in the way that our government is doing it now. So I think defining what sort of government is a good government is very, very important. But I think it's impossible to do without understanding the nature of humans, without understanding religion. I think religion is a huge factor in in the sort of government that we have right now. So I'm going to talk about that again also in the future. Okay, thank you.